This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of multi-practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together. Today's guest is a very unique entrepreneur, and I'm excited to speak with her today. She's a dedicated optometrist with a passion for providing excellent and exceptional eye care. She's licensed in the use of therapeutic and diagnostic pharmaceutical agents and has an expertise in LASIK and refractive procedures, both pre and post. She's also the owner of TED Optical Lab, which is a fully autonomous digital optical laboratory designed to help eye care professionals with prescription lenses and eyewear. She's the owner and optometrist at the iDoc Group. Please welcome Dr. Nataly Gammoh. Nataly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here on this podcast. And it's always an honor. And it was also nice getting to know you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I believe you might be the first one we're talking to that actually has done more vertical integration. So you actually have a lab as well as multiple locations. So I'm really excited to see what to learn from you. And so let's jump into it. What was the one thing that you would say helped contribute to growing the empire? What was the most important thing to you?
I mean, a strong family basis. Like I had support from the beginning. So I actually met my husband through optometry also. So he's actually an optician and his dad is an optometrist. So I was able to meet him through working through his dad at first. So I was able to get to know him and we ended up getting married. But my father-in-law has over 40 opticals. And so I believe that's the main thing that actually drove me to like where I'm at right now today. So having him as a mentor was great because I could go to him for advice for any issues that we're having. We're able to ask him questions and he would be able to guide us in the right direction. Or even like sometimes he would like give us a hard time about things, and they would do the opposite. He would actually want to motivate us to do even better,
Interesting.
So it was good. We started off with one optical, of course, me and my husband, and then we grew it from there. But I believe working for him, it was a great opportunity. And so I mean, him having all these opticals is amazing to me. How do you manage all those opticals, right?
Yeah. It's a lot,
Now,
40, right?
yeah, and I have 4, and I feel like I'm, overworked at this point.
It's definitely tough going to multi-location. So it's interesting. You mentioned your father-in-law having such a big presence. I think I've heard almost every podcast. It's hey, the people you surround yourself are important. And for you, it sounded like it was having that model and having that, it's possible, and kind of guidance too.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about some things that you ran into that you didn't expect. Like, how did a mentor like that help you, or what did you run into? You're like, I didn't think that was going to happen. What were some of those things?
I mean, just like, well, from the beginning, we opened up our optical and we thought we would have patients running through the doors. But really, in reality, when you open up a new business, not a lot of people are going to show up. It's not established. It's not, it hasn't been there for years. A lot of people don't know about you. And so I see my father-in-law with all these opticals that are doing amazing, but he's been there for so long. He's been around for like over 30 years. So, a long-term presence and people knowing and referring to you, actually that's where we start off is like, we need to get our patients through the door, right? So that's where I ran to him and be like, so what did you do? How did you get people through the door? I think that's what a lot of new business owners struggle with is, having patients come through the door as, through, they get referred through insurances, but we want people to be referred word of mouth that, oh, I love this place. This was a great experience and I want to come back and I want to tell my friends all about it, So I think that's what actually made us grow really quickly is word of mouth, but also we had to go other routes like advertising at first, Instagram, Facebook advertising. It's a big thing that not a lot of people are doing, but they should be doing,
Yeah.
you know?
It's hard. Like, I think gone are those days where you can just hang your shingle up and get on panels, and then all of a sudden people just come in droves. It's a little more difficult, especially in cities and more competitive markets. It's a little tougher nowadays.
Yeah, it's like very saturated, especially in Las Vegas. It's very saturated, meaning you can go here and there's another optometrist like right down the street from you. Even in California, I'm sure,
Yeah.
even more. But yeah, and over here in Vegas, you can own multiple. And I just found out in California, you can't own more than two. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that.
And I think there's some structures that you can do to get around that, but it's not easy. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the doctors we talked to in California have all mentioned that as well. But they're doing the interesting things too. So one of the previous guests was actually one of the founders of ODs on finance, which is a community
oh yeah.
group for folks, right? So it's interesting. Now you're here doing you can do more than four, but you're also doing a lab, which is kind of interesting. Tell me about
Yeah.
how that came about, right? Like, I could think like you got capital, you open up more locations. Why the lab?
Yeah.
Why that?
We kind of cap out at on the, on individual opticals, but what drove us to open up the lab is our my father-in-law, he has a conventional lab in Mexico. So, but his lab is not digital. It's not, what's state of the art, what's in now, what everybody needs is the more advanced technology. We need digital lenses, less separation. So we decided to open up this laboratory in order to supply our opticals and create good customer service to our patients and like fast turnaround times, and to also supply him with new digital lenses and like what's new, like because in Mexico they're not really there yet, and now the best lenses are the digital lenses. They're personalized for what, the person, the patient. But now we're selling business to business also. So I feel like we're going to be great on our customer service. You don't have to wait 4 weeks, to get your glasses. And that's one of the big things that drove us is to open up our own laboratory because who wants to wait 4 weeks for our glasses?
It's a long time.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And the state of Nevada, they just passed the laws of optometry that you can opt out of labs.
Okay.
So that's a
That's
big
new for you all.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
big thing because there's only 8 states in the United States that you can opt out
I know
of
Georgia's
lab.
one of them. So we're in Georgia.
Yes.
So we've never opted in, I don't think, except for VSP. VSP, we're in theirs.
Yeah.
But that was because of the way, yeah, just the way they structure their contract.
Yeah,
It's a little,
their contract is brutal.
but
But
it's not for everyone. But everyone has to look at their own financials to make sense if it opts out or not. But to opt out or not.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. We're opting out of everything, I think, right now, and I mean, it benefits us and others here in Nevada.
yeah.
And the faster you don't have you don't have to pick certain lenses that are on their plan. You're not restricted to their lenses. You can pick any lens, for the patient. This better customer service overall.
That's good.
So, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your growth. And so you go from one, you marry, you and your husband meet at the first optical. You get married, and now you have your empire budding empire. Tell us about like, do you guys have other people to help manage and run the business, or is it really just you
Yeah.
two in leadership? How does it structure look? What does it look like?
Yeah, because since the beginning of the first optical we ever opened 12, 13 years ago now, our managing manager is still the same manager. Now we've promoted her to like a regional manager. So she goes around to like all the opticals and makes sure that everything's flowing and going well. But I think that's a crucial part of it also is having that consistency, a staff member that's been with you for a long time, that's able to handle different areas and aspects of like employees, like HR sometimes, you know. So I don't even handle any more of the employee staff. She does all that. So we've kind of segregated. A good thing about having multiple locations is you can kind of assign specific tasks to people now, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have a billing department, you want to have your call center, so, and we have HR. And so what a great foundation is just having those people with you for a long period of time that are experienced in what they're doing. So I think that was a great rise to our, for opticals, is that good management that's there. And we don't have to worry about it so much. When you have good management, you don't have to worry so much about your opticals.
That's something I haven't really heard so much, that you take someone and they've grown into the role. More
Yeah.
often than not, I hear like, everyone gets to a certain point. It's like, you know what? You're just not able to cut it at this level.
Mhm.
We can move you back down to where you're good. But it's interesting. It seems like either you got lucky or what's your secret to do that? Like how?
So personally, I've tried both ways. Like I've tried bringing in somebody with lots of experience, but I feel like they're molded a certain way to do things. And like, I feel like, not every business is the same. I feel like, yeah, I mean, we kind of trained people the way we wanted them and molded them the way we want them to be. So that's why we like to, keep the same people that we've had that have been doing well. I feel like if you've been doing well within the first year, and we know you're gonna be, doing great. So we have like our lead opticians also. That's another factor in having great opticals and great revenue is our lead opticians, that they are good sellers, they're good educators of lenses, they know what they're doing. A lot of people like opticians, they don't educate their patients on what they need, and what type of lens they need in regards to a progressive. There's so many different types of progressives out there. Just being an overall good seller is going to change your revenue greatly also. So that's a crucial part of having you know, a great practice.
And your model is more optical, I'm guessing, right? Versus
Yes, it
medical. Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we do medical also, but I feel like, if I don't want to do like right now, like we hire optometrists, right? So, um, in order to push them to do what we want them to do, they want to do, you have to give them commissions and like bonuses, and we want we do a lot of medical. We do like, punctal plugs and, the amniotic membrane, but, it only gets you to a certain point. But in the reality, our motto is mainly, the optical. That's what makes you fast, quick revenue.
well, I think it's also, who you are, right? I think
Yeah.
it's interesting. All the folks that we've talked to, they're like, you know what? No, we are medical. We service our regional area. We are the place to go to for eye care in our rural
Yeah.
environment. Some folks like yourselves, like, nope, we are optical. We are high end, high touch, and we care about the patient's eye care, and we care about the way they see out of the lens. And we want them to love how they look and love how they see,
Yeah.
right? And it's interesting to
Exactly.
see the model that everyone takes.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of like practices are going that route of doing like only scleral lenses. We do a little bit of that also, don't get me wrong, but it's not our main focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So when you talked earlier about getting business in the door, it was all geared towards optical business. Like, would you advertise like, hey, we have Cartier or whatever frame lines you had? Is that how
yeah,
you get
I
it?
feel like
Or
yes,
yeah,
we advertise more of use your benefits. You do your annual your kids routine eye
yep,
exams. So we want like we gear, it depends on it, what it is, but yeah, we gear it more towards the optical side. Like we have our new line of Cartier or Chanel's.
yeah.
We do high end optical also.
So did you open up all of yours cold, or did you buy any
Yes, no,
cold?
we didn't
Okay.
buy any
So tell me
coal.
the last one you opened up cold. How did you? What was your marketing outreach? What were your channels? How did you fill up the books? And how long did it take you?
So I say the first optical was crucial because the first one we ever opened is actually it was the one that was overflowing.
Mm.
So that was the one that actually we built up, and we're able to now refer all our overflow to our other opticals.
Gotcha. So, hey, you
So
live closer to this side of town. Why don't you go to that part of town for the other one?
yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
now we're like kind of like
Yeah.
scattered all over Vegas, but we're in Henderson also. But yeah, it's mainly because our first optical that we ever opened up, it was The thing is, where I went to school in Puerto Rico, and I learned Spanish. And so when I first came, like I would say like 80% of my patient base was Spanish speaking. So they wanted Spanish speakers, so everybody came to me. And I feel like that's how we grew really quickly,
Mm,
because Spanish speakers feel more comfortable speaking Spanish, and they want to get their way, their terminology across in medical Spanish. So I've mastered that, I would say, like in the whole exam and medical, even though I'm Arabic, but I'm actually mastered it in Spanish.
okay.
So my husband's actually Hispanic. So
Yeah.
he's, I think that's why patients refer to us, is because we had that niche of we speak Spanish, and they feel very comfortable going, ordering their glasses to having their eye
Mm,
exams done in Spanish.
yeah.
So, and then from there is when we started opening up more. And that's when we just referred patients to other locations. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just been you know, uh, an upward,
Why
climb,
steady upward progress. That's good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's really interesting. So it sounds like word of mouth was really important.
Yes. And I feel like everybody on the paperwork was like 80% word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth.
Did you
Yes.
do anything special, or was it just by the fact that you had such a great process and you
I
spoke
feel like,
Spanish?
being positive and just having that good energy when you're in the exam room and being nice to your patients, like everything changes. Like they are so happy when you treat them well, and their process was really nice and, seamless, and, you could walk in there with a smile, and then they just feel comfortable, even in English, English versus Spanish, it just, your personality reflects on your patients.
Yeah.
So I just feel like giving good customer care and
Okay.
patient care is the key.
Nice. Um,
Yeah.
Now, do you take vision plans at all, and medical plans, or not really?
So we do take a lot of medical plans. We don't take all of them because we can't get on all the
Yeah.
panels, but yeah, we take a lot of medical plans. We take all insurances. We take even Medicaids,
Okay.
all the Medicaids. So yeah, we try to be on everything, really. Yeah.
And
So
that's interesting because I've heard that's a great way to build a practice. When you say, like, break it down for me, paid versus referrals versus being on the panels. How much of your
yeah,
business growth came from in year one? What percentage breakdown? And now year two, year three, year four, and beyond. Where do you find most new patients came from?
new patients.
And best guess, best guess. Yeah.
Well, word of mouth, like I said,
From the very
but
get go, year one, it was like 100% word of mouth, or like 90% word of
oh,
mouth.
no, year 1, no, like insurance referrals, like insurance referrals, but then we started doing a lot of, it depends, we do some commercials on TV.
Oh,
We
really?
do, we do Facebook advertising, which is a big thing with the Spanish community. So, they like to be on Facebook, like everybody else. I think Instagram's in right now, but, Facebook is still the in thing for the Hispanic community, I feel, more than Instagram. So we do a lot of advertising, and I would say most of it was from advertising.
Did you do it in-house, or did you, have a company that helped you with that? Because I would imagine marketing, I've heard it's different when you go to different target
Yeah.
audiences because of language and,
You're
like,
able
culture.
to, like, my husband, he's the one that does the advertising mainly, but we've done commercials with like Telemundo,
Oh,
Univision. So you pay them to do like their recording basically and do the commercial. And then also for Instagram and Facebook, my husband does that. But he targets a specific way where it reaches like the Spanish community, the Hispanic community, basically.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so he's self-taught on that. So
Okay. That's pretty
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you can also hire companies, to do all that for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm almost curious to see how people grow. So if I'm hearing this correctly, um, first off, be in a niche that is underserved, right? So it sounds like the
Yeah.
Spanish community was underserved, and then find your channels. So for you, excellent patient care led to referrals, and then
Yes.
you also had paid advertising and being on all potential panels. You were accessible to every
Yes.
patient
Yes.
that
Yes.
could come to your office.
Exactly.
But you're still not sometimes what that happens is you get to race to the bottom, right? You like low end optical is more about volume, but it sounds like you
Yeah.
do the volume, but you're still high-end retail. Is that accurate?
We do
Mid
we
to
do a
high?
little bit of both. Depends on location. Like our Henderson office, they do like Cartier and Chanel, but they do low volume, you know?
Got it.
So, that like, we have a few sales and then, it reaches our goal for the day. Instead, we have our other ones that are like higher volume, but
Lower per
um
average ticket. Yeah.
yeah, actually lower average,
Yeah.
per sale, lower average sale. But yeah, I mean, it just depends because I mean, usually the people that don't have insurance are the people that are like the Hispanic based people, and so they're paying out of pocket. I mean, there's more profit that way rather than going through
Yeah.
insurances.
But you have to have a
So
price point that's more attractive to and competitive.
exactly, we have all price points.
Yeah.
Not we just don't do high end only. We do from here to there, A to Z. So there's something for everybody. And we also, I told you we design our own
Mhm.
frames. So we also have them for like our Medicaid patients and then also our higher end patients. So there's a wide variety of types
Yes.
of frames for people. Yeah.
That's really smart because I'm just trying to synthesize everything. I'm learning
Mhm.
as we're talking. It's pretty interesting here. It's really cool. So find the market, focus on referrals, focus on paid advertising, but target the audience that you want to go after. Be
Exactly.
make sure that it's the same underserved market or the market that you know really well. And
Exactly.
that's the lesson I heard there. And then in addition to that, it sounds like you're also focused on, who you are, right? Like this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to offer it. Um,
Yeah.
and it, you're also by your own frame lines, you're kind of locking in. So like just you're combating all of the challenges a lot of folks are facing. Like it wouldn't surprise me. We haven't talked about this. Wouldn't surprise me if you had your own contact brand line either. Based on what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
we've thought about it.
Yeah.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, yeah. Because
It's
that's
coming.
possible too, right? You
Yeah.
get your own name on there, but yeah, we'll white label it,
Yeah.
like you do with the frames and the lenses too now.
Yeah, I mean, they do that. They do that also, but, I don't know. I mean, the profit margins are not so well with contacts, soft contacts, but hard contacts, they're there. There are machines that make them. Maybe that's our next step in the optical laboratory. So,
Okay.
I
Some
yeah, because
RGPs and other hard contacts, yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
exactly. We could sell those,
Okay.
there's some machines that make those. So we can go ahead and sell some scleral lenses too. Oh,
Yeah, why not, right? It helps
yeah.
and you're also helping other doctors too while you do it with your lab, right? So it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Yeah.
I think it's really neat how you drove the lab as a need with your patient base as well as your father-in-law's patient base in Mexico,
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, you know what? This would be a great next step," which made more sense because you had the volume already to feed into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we're just serving his opticals and ours, and also now we're doing nationwide with the optical. So
That's also, um,
yeah,
so that's pretty cool. And let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about some challenges you might be facing. A lot of folks are facing labor shortages, expensive costs for labor, reimbursements. Tell us how you're dealing with the labor side and the insurance side, reimbursement side.
yeah. So we actually the reimbursements. I was even actually like looking at the plans for like opting out versus opting in for insurances. They're going down every year. They don't want to reimburse as much. And now the key, I mean, for us in Nevada, in Georgia, is opting out because I've analyzed, what the insurances want to pay you back.
Right.
They want to charge us chargebacks are like crazy fees. And they even want to charge back when you opt out, but at least it's a small amount, not a huge amount. And I've compared insurances with opting out and opting in, and it looks like it's overall better opting out. But hopefully, we can. That's the thing. It's right now. If you have no choice to opt out, right now is the way to go is, selling frames at a better price, like meaning you're getting them for a lower price point, and then selling them at a higher, rate,
Yeah.
and then also lenses. As the thing is with these insurance plans, you can't really mess with
Yeah. The
your
level.
copay. So that's the thing. Right now, it's all about, your price point on your frame, at least the minimum. Like you don't want to be selling a Ray-Ban frame to a patient with IMED. Really, your your fees for reimbursement fees are not that great. You'd rather sell them a non-branded frame,
Mm.
rather than a Ray-Ban because you're going to make more profit in the end on your frame. So that's, I mean, I know a lot of people are like focusing on their luxury brands, but in the end, if you get a better price point on a frame that's a good quality, why don't you sell that instead of your Ray-Ban frame, you know?
Yeah.
So there's more room for revenue there.
Yeah, I've also heard another strategy, and we try to do it like, hey, if someone really wants a Ray-Ban, use that as your primary and get a backup that's a second pair.
Yep,
Your hobby pair or whatever you want, computer pair. And
exactly.
then
A second pair.
you don't necessarily have to go with the Ray-Ban both those times. If you wanted it, if you're cost conscious, we give you a couple of options. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome.
exactly.
What about staffing? Are you having challenges with that? Or if not,
Yeah,
tell us
there's
what you
always
do.
challenges with staffing. Always. I mean, in Vegas, there's always challenges with staffing. With optometrists,
Well, because
with
the casinos pay so well, right? That's what I heard.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's like
yeah.
hard to
Casinos
find. Yeah.
pay like they start off sometimes at $25 just for like,
Wow.
cleaning rooms and all that, so it's competitive. So, but the thing is your shift is like night shifts
Wow.
or crazy shifts. Um, yeah, I mean, we have high costs and labor costs, but yeah, I mean, the turnaround rate sometimes on our receptionists are a little high, but we try to keep them in any way we can, um, telling them that we're flexible with their schedule, having more than one person that we can call on
Have
when
someone
somebody
out.
called out sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's hard to do that balance of having good employees that will stick with you for a long time. But yeah, I mean, we try our best to find that even medium where we can keep them, for if they're a good employee versus a not so good employee. Like, like you have your very hardworking employees, and that's the ones that you want to keep rather than the ones that they're there, but they're just not all putting in their 100% effort to go up higher in in the business. And there's always room for growth with us. So we always try to keep the people there's always room for growth with us, like in the company. So we always try to keep the people that are harder workers, and we'll pay them a little bit more if they do try to leave, because we value them. So, I mean, it's just a balance.
Yeah.
If you find that right person that's going to be a great fit, then try to keep them as much as you can.
Yeah. And it sounded like you doing some interesting things. Like I heard call center was one of them. So it sounds like you're kind of
Yes.
centralizing some folks as well.
Yes, I'm trying to
Yeah.
centralize and like, have certain roles for everybody. So we've put like a billing department and our HR department to deal with employees.
Mm.
So, and like when you're at four opticals and an optical lab, it's like hard to keep track of all your employees and optometrists that
A lot.
everybody's calling out sick sometimes, and like, they wanted this day off and that day off, and it's hard for you to manage it. So you just have to pass on the role to another person, and also like consolidating things. Like you don't want like the phones to be ringing constantly at your practice, and we can't attend to the customers as well as we should be. So the call center is really good in doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so far it's been good. We separated tasks.
Nice.
Yeah.
What, I guess, let me ask a little bit of just more curious about your thought process. If you had to double, triple, quadruple your business, how would you do it? What would you? And if you could, how would you do it? How would you go about approaching that?
And just having the same opticals, or
Well,
like, would I?
I'm going to let you decide and interpret that however you want, because I just want to see your thought process of, okay, well, how
Yeah.
would I think about
I
growth?
mean, I've always thought about buying out people because, like buying out other businesses that are not doing so well. I think that's another way to go if you are looking to like expand,
Mhm.
like buying out other optometrists that you think that would do it. You would do it. You can change things and do well rather than them.
Mhm.
So sometimes optometrists don't know how to run businesses. It's not in we weren't educated for that, right? Like I feel like we didn't have schooling and business in our billing
Yeah.
and HR. So I feel since we have four opticals that it was a little bit easier to run after the fourth one. So now we kind of know what we're doing. But now I feel like if a business wasn't successful, I feel like I would try to buy others out and try to work things the way we do at our other 4 opticals.
Yeah.
Because I have other optometry friends, which I try to always, tell them what we're doing to benefit them,
Yeah.
and um, everybody has their own way of doing things, and sometimes they don't want to change,
Yeah.
their way of being, their way of doing things. And I just feel like you tell them to do something, but they're not going to take your full advice.
Yeah. The whole
But
culture thing is tough. Yeah. Especially the
yeah, it's
you're one. Yeah.
like I wish we had more business classes
Mm.
in school, because we probably had like a few, not even that many, like 1 or maybe 2
Mm.
max in each school.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that would be nice to have more business classes in optometry school. So, or maybe prereq,
Yeah.
and who knows?
Or at least
But
understanding, cash flow, balance sheet, and P&L,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
Those 3 things alone
exactly.
would help tremendously a lot for a lot. I mean, I'm not an optometrist, so I had a little bit of a business background, engineering background. So
Yeah. So you're helping your wife, right? It's a team
yeah,
effort. There it is, right there.
yeah,
And you know that aspect of it. You know the business side, and you see the numbers, and you can help her out with that, and you guys work as a team.
that's the
And
idea.
that's what me and my husband do too, right?
That's cool. Um,
Yeah.
so let's learn about you a little bit more, Natalie, and
Okay.
tell me a little bit about. So it can be any point in your life. It doesn't have to be anything recent, but give me a moment or two that really made an impression on you. You were like, you know what, this experience is part of what made me who I am today. And like I said, it can be when you're a kid, adult, whatever. So give me 1 or 2 stories like that.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, I was thinking first of the optical when I first started in optometry, is that there was only like 2 or 3 patients walking through the door like a day, you know? And like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not gonna go well. Like, how are we gonna get through this? How are we gonna make money? Like,
Stressful.
yeah, it was stressful in the beginning. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, there's nobody coming in. We need to get more people to the door. But you know, um, what I what came from that was working even harder, finding different ways to bring people in, just thinking outside the box, and always, even we were next to a supermarket at one of our opticals, and I would send one of the employees to hand out flyers to come to us. So just like thinking like little things here and there always help. If you get one patient to come over to you, that's one patient,
Yeah.
So anything you can do to like just bring people into your store, I mean, why not? So that's one thing. Um, I mean, learning Spanish was huge. When I went to school
Yeah.
in Puerto Rico, I did not know that much Spanish. I only know vocabulary Spanish from
Wait, so you did OD school and learned Spanish at the same time fluently?
yeah, because I went to the Inter-American school in Puerto
Yeah.
Rico, so they
Wow.
teach you Spanish there.
Well,
Like
okay. That's a lot.
yeah,
That's even it's hard enough. Just the OD curriculum is tough, let alone
yeah, uh-huh.
another foreign language on top of that.
Yeah, so the classes are mainly all in English, like
Yeah.
95% of the classes, but they teach you Spanish, and you have to do your practice, like your exams in Spanish.
Oh,
Your practicals and all that have to be in
well, I guess the
Spanish.
patient base there probably speaks Spanish, so you have to be able
Yeah,
to communicate well. Yeah.
yeah, and then all the Spanish speaking Puerto Ricans that did go to the school had to do theirs in English, so it was
Oh,
like vice
vice
versa.
versa. Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting. That's actually a good idea.
yeah, yeah. So we learned Spanish, and then they learned English better, and like so it was good. It was like I think that's what mainly grew my practice, is just learning Spanish and not being afraid, because you're always afraid to learn and talk in a different language, With your patients, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous because I can't speak Spanish, but then,
Learn.
just have a positive energy and attitude about it. That's what it is. And a lot of optometrists are scared to speak Spanish, which they know. I know a lot of people know vocabulary, and they just don't want to use it. But practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah, especially I guess over 4 years. Right? Yeah, no,
Yeah. So like just living there, I learned a lot of Spanish, and so I mean over time, and now seeing patients in Spanish on a daily basis, it helped me grow my practice
nice.
and learn more Spanish.
So you just keeps reinforcing itself. Um,
Yeah, it's been good.
so let's rewind a little bit. Let's go to
Mhm.
4 days after you graduated OD school. What advice would you give to your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Oh man. Oh,
Usually the
I
first
would
thing that comes to mind is usually one of the best.
I would say don't be afraid of opening up your own practice,
Okay.
Just go for it and just start a lot of people wait to open up their own practice. They start late, but the longer you're in your practice, the more you learn how to run a business, I feel. And along the lines, every day is a lesson. You learn billing, you learn payroll, right? And everything gonna fall into place. Just go ahead and go for it. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a definitely learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so what do you do for, I mean, you got a lab starting, you got 4 locations. What do you do for fun? Any hobbies? Like, what do you do to relax or
I mean, I try to go work out. That's my hobby is like working out and going to play sports. Like if I would say like tennis and like golfing. I try to do a lot of that. My husband's obsessed with golfing, so I have to be a golfer now.
there's some good golf courses there. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So everywhere we go, he tries to go to their golf courses. So yeah, he does that, and then I try to work out at the same time and do my thing. And but yeah, I like being next to a beach. In Puerto Rico, I was on a beach.
Yeah.
I was loving life. Over there. But yeah, anywhere near the beach, I'm perfectly happy. Yeah, I'm not near a beach though.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not too far. Quick flight over. So,
Yeah,
well,
not too far from California.
it's funny because I was curious about hobbies. One of the doctors, I think Adam Paolo, one of our previous guests, he was like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's fun.
that's
And I mean, yeah, it is. It's fun. So,
yeah.
so where can people connect with you? Where can they find you if they want to connect with you?
You can connect on LinkedIn with me. I have my email, I think, on there, but you can always, I check all my messages, so they can always contact me there, or they can email me at drgammoh@theidoc.com. So I'm willing to answer all emails too. So I'm always willing to give advice also if they have any questions.
That's great. Well, thank you again, Dr. Gammoh, for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That was great.
it was fun. I learned a lot myself too. And thank you, audience. If you learned something, you laughed, even cried, who knows? Please share the podcast and the YouTube video with anyone else you like and subscribe. Thank you again, Dr. Gammoh. And this has been another great, exciting episode of Optometrists Building Empires. We'll see you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of Optometrists Building Empires. Thanks for joining. For show notes and more, visit buildingempires.live. This show is proudly sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team was born out of staffing challenges my wife and I faced together, managing multiple optometry locations. We refined our approach at Classic Vision Care and now offer our expertise to others. If you're experiencing challenges with staffing and you'd like to set up a discovery call, we'd be happy to help you and connect you with the right resources. We'll see you next time.